like
Oh, I don't think you did that. I don't think I did that either. My name's Jeff Ritker. So the question is, how much time might an entrepreneur focus on trying to raise money? And that depends entirely on the kind of business and what the money's for, and what the growth needs of the business are. I think it only makes sense for a company to be raising money when there's, well, first of all, it depends on the kind of company and where that capital is going to come from. If somebody's taking a chunk of the company as, in response to that, and oftentimes, if it's possible, the entrepreneur would be better off bootstrapping and self-financing. But if you're trying to grow the company, if you want things to expand, often, you need capital. And so it depends, and a lot of big tech companies, not even big tech companies, but growing tech companies, a lot of these guys will have, the CEO might spend up to half his time traveling and trying to raise money, which is really inefficient, but sometimes that's what has to be done. In a really small company, sometimes that's not really feasible, and so of course it's great to have some help, and it's great to, I guess, be efficient about it and ask clearly why you need the cash, how much you need, and whether you're going to the right, going with the right avenues in search of that capital. The less time you can spend trying to raise money, the better, because in the end, you're there to grow a business, not to raise money. I'm not sure if I have a great answer as far as nonprofits, because I haven't worked with very many of them. In fact, I haven't worked directly with any. I've gotten to know a number of people that have had and have been working on starting up some nonprofits and developed some relationships with some foundations. But a few things that entrepreneurs, at least in for-profit businesses, should know from my background and my experience in working with some, especially if these companies are, if a company is expected to, or hoping to grow significantly anytime in the near future, it helps a whole lot to have things structured and organized from the beginning as well as possible, as far as books, obviously, and just a growth strategy and plan. A lot of times that's something that can fall into place as time goes by, but it's always really helpful to be able to look at your plans and projections and kind of design your strategy and each stage of your growth according to those expectations, and be able to set benchmarking essentially along the way, and be able to check yourself against what you had hoped to accomplish and change things in kind of a structured and intentional manner along the way. I think entrepreneurship is, in general, something that's very ad hoc, and it's something that entrepreneurs learn how to do. They learn how to start and run their company. And most often, I think people don't really know what that company is going to be, what it's going to resemble in its final form. But I think as much planning and as much, careful, careful planning and careful record keeping and things like that along the way are really helpful at certain stages later in your growth, when you want to be able to look back and see what has worked and try to track things like why certain things happened and why certain times have been better than others, and redefine the structure of the company and shoot off in a new direction based on the infrastructure that's in place. I'd call that really successful. It's 2 years down the line, having to make big choices about what to do next when every option sounds pretty good.